Hello and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast, episode number, if you could believe it, Darren, 131.
Crazy.
It's crazy. We started this ride back in April of last year and to see how far we've come, how many episodes. It's been fantastic. So glad to be a part of your Sunday and Tuesday evenings. We're typically live on Thursdays, but it's Christmas and all, so I figured probably wouldn't get much of a viewership that night, so we're going live tonight. We have a very special guest, super excited to chat with him in just a few moments as well. But I just wanted to get on here and say we have so much to talk about, not just with the Christmas extravaganza, but just to learn a little bit more about you and where you've come from and where we're gonna be going and all that sort of thing. But before we do all of that, Darren, as you know, we have to give a shout out to our good sponsors over at Nashville Tax Solutions for believing in us for just under 100 subscribers, which is unheard of. Really, we know how grateful we are for that. Typically, anywhere, in the couple thousand range, you don't get a sponsor that early. And we're just so grateful that you found us. You believed in us from day one. So we're super, super grateful for that. And now we're just a few subscribers short, Darren, of 3,600. We might even meet that by the end of this podcast. So
that would be crazy.
Super cool. That would be great. So,
and I'll tell you,
and I see a few jumping on as well. So thank you for being here. We see you, Joseph and Vianney, and a couple others. So thank you. But Darren, go ahead and share a few words from our sponsors over at Nashville Tax Solutions.
Hey, if you're dealing with tax issues, especially this time of year, maybe you're behind on filings or you got hit with a lien. Let me tell you about the fine folks at Nashville Tax Solutions. These folks know their stuff and they actually care about helping you fix it. I've heard from a lot of people, Fort Pierce, Palm Bay, and other areas as well. And they tell me that Chris Bennett and his team turned a financial nightmare into peace of mind. That's the kind of help you want to have on your side. So if tax stress is keeping you up, call 855-627-4829. And also visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, real people who get real results.
Thank you, Darren. And again, Nashville Tax Solutions was there at the Extravaganza as well, doing their thing, having a great time. So excited that you guys got to hook up, Darren. You and Chris got to finally meet each other after all this time. So
it was great. It was great. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What a highlight that was for me.
Yeah, awesome time.
Nobody else knew us. That was great.
Yeah, and but we stand here tonight, episode 131. Super excited to say that we have a special guest on this episode. Darren, you and I have talked. Sometimes we love when it's just the two of us, but every once in a while we love to have a special guest get on there with us and what better guest than to have someone who was a huge part of the success of that event this past week. And K-Lib, we will call you K-Lib unless you feel like sharing outside. We always like to go with the stage name until otherwise heard. So we'll go by that for those watching. But drop us a comment in the chat if you are watching. If you have any questions as we do this thing, just let us know. But K-Lib, floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining us. Just have to hear your raw thoughts of the event as a whole, kind of like what did you expect you were getting into? Did it kind of meet your expectations? That sort of thing.
Man, first and foremost, I thought it was a wonderful event. I actually have brought my children to that event in years past a couple times, but I've never had the opportunity to actually participate in the talent extravaganza portion of it. I thought it was something beautiful, kind of brought everyone together in one place, one location. They had a lot of activities, festivities for the kids, things that we could see and get into. They had a Ferris wheel. So I thought it was a great opportunity to just hang out and have a blast. It was a beautiful day in the city of Palm Bay. So we got to not only participate in that event, but my children who came along with me got to enjoy a lot of the festivities that was going on as well. So we had a wonderful time.
I'm so glad to hear that because, of course, we'll talk about the competition and talent show. But really, I was most interested to hear, and it sounds like you did, that you got an opportunity to kind of see a little bit of everything. I mean, there was, just compared to last year, there was so much more. So it's hard to really see everything. I was sharing with Rob K-Lib the other day that this is the 17th year of the event, but 11th or 12th year on the team, second year project manager. But it wasn't until last year that I even saw where the horse and pony rides were, and I've been to the event for 11 years. I didn't even know where. I got an opportunity to see it. So there's just always
I kind of saw it on the way out, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's kind of like the farthest away from
Yeah.
kind of has to be. But yeah, so what Darren and I talked about this a little bit on Sunday evening, but when you had the opportunity to navigate around the park and stuff like that, was there one part that you enjoyed the most, or your family enjoyed the most, in terms of, whether was it the Ferris wheel, was it something else? I had my personal favorite, of course, was the dunk tank, because we were rocking with that. But what was your thoughts on, what stood out to you most outside of the competition in terms of all the offerings that we had?
The first thing that actually you see that shows up big is the Ferris wheel. I was actually very impressed with the size that they had an actual Ferris wheel in the park. And then and I thought the helicopter was cool.
Yes.
We got a chance to see it one other year, a couple years ago, where they had the helicopter, and that was one of the favorites of my kids, was to see the helicopter in the middle of the park as well. So, but
That's
yeah,
cool.
I would have to say the helicopter and the Ferris wheel were probably the biggest,
the biggest two
that we saw as a family. Yeah,
that's cool. So Darren, one thing that was funny when we were, Dave, I don't know, I think you probably got a chance to meet David Cummings. He was also one of the green shirts by the sound booth. And shout out to S&S Sound. They were top notch with
unbelievable.
Their whole production. Yeah. Super awesome. Corey and his team. But so we've always had that whole big open space, but we had never had so many different things to do before. And so we have everything ready, and we get the call that the helicopter is on its way. And we're realizing that the giant spot we have for the helicopter might just be a little bit too close to some of the tents and canopies that we have up. And so we're starting to freak out just a little bit. And thankfully we secured ours and stuff, but it didn't fail. The second it started getting close, the first canopy that was put up from one of the vendors went flying backwards across the venue, and they got it. Thankfully, nothing was snapped or broken or anything. But it was just cool to see landing on the big H. And right after the event was over, Robin Lisette got an opportunity to get in the helicopter and kind of ride around the area and stuff. So that was super cool for them. I was happy for them that they got to do that. So that was cool. But yeah, that was something we always tried to do. It's just, we've always had much more space for them before. So now things are getting a little bit tighter, because there's so much packed in there and whatnot. And then yes, the Ferris wheel, that's been a dream for years to have that, and it's a huge addition, obviously, compared to what we're used to. But we just knew that if we can get it, God's blessing to make that happen. And I'm just so grateful that we got that opportunity just to see. And what was cool too, like there'd be times where Kim was up there on stage and emceeing the talent show and stuff, and you look over and you see the people on the top of the Ferris wheel. That was just awesome.
I love how she engaged that those who were riding the Ferris wheel, they kind of got a front seat ticket to the show, actually.
To the show, yeah. Cool. Because I was even saying the day before, I got an opportunity to ride it right after it passed inspection, and it was a lot of fun, but it was so quiet on Friday, so it wasn't the same. I'm like, this is going to be more fun tomorrow when the music's pounding and all that good stuff. And Darren, I forgot, you got an opportunity, correct, to ride it on Saturday as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Before the gates opened, right after the prayer huddle, I went on with Rob and some of the wonderful volunteers that made the day such a success, and it was wonderful to be on. It was great.
Yeah, it was an awesome visual. And you mentioned the prayer. One of the things we did was at 900 hours, as Rob would say, 9 o'clock. We had our whole team by the stage, and we prayed over the day and everything like that. But what was funny, I think you got there a little bit after it was over, but on the sound check night, we always at 5 p.m. we always pray over the grounds. Like we walk everywhere from the parking lot to the bathrooms, to the basketball courts, every little space. We go 2 by 2 and we pray and declare that no parents get lost, as we call it, instead of children. And what was funny, because some of the, it's a misconception that it's just a Christian event. It is. We are celebrating the birth of Jesus, but we're not, everyone is welcome to this event. You leave your wallet at home, everyone come. And so some of the performers that were coming kind of knew what we were doing, and some were like, what is going on? Because you can imagine you're a little nervous, you're coming to this event, you're parking, you're walking up, and you see all these people with their arms raised and they're shouting and praying, and they're probably like, what is going on? So shout out to all of them for sticking with it and seeing what we were doing and all that kind of stuff. That was interesting. But Darren, I want to ask you this before we get into the actual competition. So you were able to do interviews on the spot. We talked a little about this offline. Now, it was a little bit challenging because there's so much going on. We were competing with the national anthem, or we're competing with other performers and bands and things like that. But I was watching through the videos, Darren. I finally got a chance to see them all. And it was just something about, like, we can make some slight adjustments next year with, mini microphones and things like that. But I just love the fact that, like, as you guys are engaging back and forth, and it was only for 90 seconds, but it was just cool to hear everything in the background and see people walk by. It almost added to the whole experience.
Yeah, it does. It's without going into much detail, I mean, you're both performers in your own right. You bloom where you're planted, right? And just that expontaneous, the people around, walking around, it gives you a feel of what was going on, which is different than, in a booth somewhere inside, where that's wonderful as well, but it's a whole different dynamic, right? I mean, it was great. It was wonderful.
You got the feeling that you were live in the action, like in the middle 100%. Of everything going on. So, yeah.
Yes. So I have to ask, what is, before, as we were about to talk about the event itself, but those that did know, K-Lib was the second place winner, which is crazy. The amount of talent, last year we had an opportunity to do this, and we had to pick a top 3, and we had, the same, I think it was 9 people that performed in the top last year, and it was good. But this year was like on another level in terms of the amount of, I think we had triple the submissions. We had about 36 submissions that came through by the deadline, and then I think another 9 that came in after. And of course, there's a few that you're like, what in the world was that? Like, there's a couple here and there where it's like, okay, this couldn't work on that stage. But the amount of good ones that came through, it was a challenge for the team to, there's just a team of 3 that goes through everything. And, one thing that we were able to do this time, we were able to give a phone call and say congratulations and all that kind of stuff, and made it so much more fun to have that experience. So talk a little bit about just kind of after that phone call and kind of like, this is super awesome, this is cool, but now I've got to figure this thing out. It's just a couple days away. And so talk a little bit about that whole experience.
Yeah, man, I was excited and thrilled to actually get the phone call. It's, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And I understand that, I have a talent or a gift, but you don't always necessarily expect to be called, so when you get that phone call, you kind of go through those initial feelings of excitement, and, you're like, wow, this is awesome. This is going to be amazing. And then you go to the phase of, okay, what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? Like, how am I going to stand out when you have a pool of such talented and skillful people in the competition? What is going to set you apart, from that talent pool? So that's kind of the thought process that I ended up going through at the time. And then I kind of just settled down and, okay, like, I wanted to do something that would, I picked out the songs that I thought that would kind of stand out in a competition such as that, but also kind of those songs that would speak to someone, you know what I mean? That would maybe encourage someone, or, have someone be like, okay, I can get into this. I can feel this. I can groove with this. So I kind of went through that thought process and kind of settled on a couple songs that I would potentially would do, and I just took it from there.
That's awesome. And shout out Nicole. I see your comment. He has an amazing voice. Loved his rapping for Jesus. Yes, and On Deck for Christ as well. So love this. With Nicole, I was happy that she is one of our. So for transparency, my wife and I are the children's pastors at the house church, and so Nicole has just joined our team just a couple months ago, and she has been one of the most dependable people you could ever ask for, no matter what position. Sometimes twice on Sunday. We try to do every other week for our volunteers, so it's not overloaded, but she'll do anything that's asked of her to do. And she was able to do security for the event. And I was grateful that I was able to get her her post near the stage, because I just knew that she has the heart for this. And so thank you, Nicole, for watching and for all that you do. Just wanted to make sure I said that while we were on here.
Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate it.
But, and so yeah, you get the call, you come for sound check. Now talk a little bit about, and then Darren likes to get your insight on it as well, but the thought process of, okay, because it was a little bit different, right? It was, you had the opportunity to pick the same song and you can just do it twice because it might be a different crowd, or you come up with two songs. So it could probably be a little bit anxiety, like, okay, I know this one, but what am I? And then you might want to change it. And it's kind of hard to change things last minute once they have everything set in and stuff. So talk a little bit about that process and of selecting your songs and that sort of thing.
So I actually had a song in mind. I ended up going with the first song. I went with the song that I actually submitted to actually get into the competition. It was a song that I thought that it was a great song that could kind of speak to anyone who may be in the crowd. Also something that, I can deliver with boldness and confidence, and that I felt good about. So going into the competition, I kind of I knew going into it that I wanted to do a different song if I made it through the first round. So there was a little bit of strategy when it came to that. Like, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to do the same song for both rounds. Where I changed that, I actually changed that second song. I changed it on the day of the night before the competition, because I just wanted to go with my gut on that second song. I had another song prepared, but it's just one of those things where I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I kind of went with my gut on the second song. I said, okay, God, if I make it through the first round, this would be the song that I think that I would want to kind of connect and engage with the audience on. So I ended up going with that song, and I'm so glad that I did. I do think that it kind of hit where it needed to hit, as far as, crowd engagement, and as far as, performing it with confidence, and just a song that I thought would just kind of speak to anyone who may have been in the park at the time.
Yes, no, and thank you for sharing your heart with that, because going with your gut is never the wrong thing. I remember so many times, whether it be you change an answer on a test in whatever capacity, and you're like, I should have just left the original one in there. You can really get in your own head sometimes, but when you go with your gut, and if you go with that and it doesn't quite work out, then it's like, okay, but I did the right thing here. Darren, I wanted to ask your thoughts on this, because you were able to come near the stage for some of it, but I know you were kind of far back. But I saw you grooving back there during the first performance. So what was your takeaway about when K-Lib and others were performing? Like, what did you notice? We shout out to the Elves team; they were on point.
Oh man, they were awesome. They were amazing.
So, I can unpack that. And K-Lib and I talked about that a little bit during our brief conversation. So, we've been doing this for quite a while, and I was kind of focused on the fact that we will be doing these interviews and making sure that everything was going well with the people subscribing, and that they're having a good time with the dunk tank. And I know that a lot of times a performer will perform, and then they'll buffer in some music for a while till the next person performs. And I sort of implied this with K-Lib. When I was talking to him, I had to do a double take, because I really thought that was piped in music. He was brilliant. Not only was the rapping wonderful, but the sound was wonderful, and it was a live performance. And I stopped what I was doing, and I was so impressed.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome that you shared that too, because with that, and then also with when we look at Oliver too, like his the voice, the sound that you heard in some of his song was actually his youth group participating in some of the video that he made and stuff. So super cool. And the crowd interaction was on point. Definitely. I know, one thing with the judges from Z88.3 Hot 95.9, shout out to them for partnering through the years and coming. And we love Zoraida and all that she does for both stations. But it was super cool to have both Shadow and Grace from the afternoon shown there as well. And I know that they were like stressed. And I remember sitting in the room with them because I was the only one that knew the results, and I had to kind of keep that under wraps. And they were stressing. Like it was not easy. They did have their who they thought, two, but sometimes it's the third. And so it was a tough thing. But the one thing, and Darren, we talked about this offline as well, but probably if you had to ask me what I enjoyed the most of the entire day, K-Lib, was that it didn't matter if it was down to the top three, whatever the case may be. For example, when Oliver was up there, we have a video of the elves and you just singing along and having the big smile on your face and having a good time. Anessa, even though she didn't make the top three and she probably could have and should, who knows, she was out there having a blast, singing along. Lauren singing along. Nobody was in business for themselves. I mean, it's decent money, right before Christmas. Nobody was in business for themselves. They were there, like they were all just supporting each other, and that spoke volumes to me. And I'm going to make it one of my most, things to stay in touch with all 8 of you and throughout the year, just to see how you guys are doing, any way we can help support. Because one thing on this channel is that, it's mostly a baseball podcast. We do some sports along the way, but Darren and I are big proponents of the minor leagues and untapped talent and that sort of thing. And so while it's been great, we've had, some good artists come through the years and stuff like that. Last year, we settled on, this EGT thing, like this is the bread and butter, because I know you've been doing this for 15 years and, or so, but like this to me is more important, that we get to highlight the city of Palm Bay, surrounding areas, Brevard County, and really just give them the voice. And even if they've already been discovered, like how cool just to get to perform in front of that many people. And I know it's weird because they're not all packed like sardines by the stage, but every single person there heard you. Whether they were in Bounce House 10, whether the porta potties, wherever they were, they heard everything. So
it was amazing, man. And just to touch on kind of what you spoke about the various artists, man, I got a chance to meet everyone behind the scenes, and wow, what beautiful people, man. Like I haven't met such a even killed and such a variety of people behind the scenes, just genuinely good people who were happy and were networking and kind of rubbing elbows and just kind of talking to one another and enjoying one another's art. I thought that was amazing part of the family extravaganza that kind of put us all in the same place at one time to kind of rub elbows with one another. We got to meet each other, and I thought that was a great a time and opportunity for us as artists to kind of just talk to one another and meet one another for the first time for most of us. So I thought that was great.
K-Lib, I think you touched upon something there that is so, people don't realize that goes on more than people think. Unfortunately, it's the negative people that get all the attention. Artists beget artists. When artists are together, there's a vibe. And Mike and I again talk about that with our podcast and working with other podcast people and performers and celebrating each other and helping each other. But I want to dovetail into when it comes to you as an individual, when it comes to a competition, is there, because it could go both ways, and your leadership style, is there less pressure once you make the top 3 because like, I'm in the top 3, worst case, I'm coming out with a $500 check, let me have some fun? Or do you like, all right, let me go take it next level? How do you prepare?
In the beginning, I was like, wow, what an honor it would be to make to the second round, the top 3. Once I got on that stage and my name was announced as the top 3, I was like, okay, I got to kick it up a notch. Like, I got to kind of come with all I got, and I got to pour my heart and soul out into this performance, into this song. And so there was a little bit of that, because at the end of the day, it is a competition, and, it was a friendly competition, but it was a competition. So, and, I kind of thought, okay, I better kick it into full throttle here, because you got talents like Anissa and Oliver, and like their voices were so amazing. So it was like, I got to be able to do a little something to kind of stand out a little bit to give myself a chance. But it was a blessing and an honor just to share the stage with such, so many people who could have made it into that second round or into that top 3. So I definitely felt the kind of urge and the pressure to kick it up a little bit.
Yeah. And even Ishmael as well, like she, the what she did with that first song and what she was able to do in English and also in different language as well was on point. And
that was amazing.
I know it would have been tough. And shout out also to, and we'll probably have her on at some point too. But shout out to Michaela. Oh my goodness, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And Darren, you were sharing about her international touring and stuff.
Right? Yes, we'll put that interview out either today or tomorrow that we did with her. She shared that she's already signed for international competition starting in August.
That's amazing.
And that's unbelievable. And we had that talent at this show.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I asked her, K-Lib, I was like, are you a little bit nervous, right? I'm sure. She's like, no, not at all. I was like, oh, okay. Like she was just ready to go. And I'm just grateful we were able to get her here, because in years past, someone had submitted something similar and much older female, but like that particular rig had to be attached to the stage. And so I'm grateful that she had her own one, and we were able to kind of put to the side and do all that. Yeah. So it makes it tough though, because everyone had to go to the side and watch and stuff.
Yeah, so she's already affiliated or signed with, I want to be, totally transparent. I don't know if it's affiliated with or signed with Circus du Soleil already. That's amazing.
She was an amazing talent. I saw that and I was like, man, we are in trouble. We're in trouble. My kids loved it. Like I have a little 6-year-old girl, Maya. She loved it. She was very impressed, and she loved that. So. Yeah.
And she even came to sound check. She had come early in the day to practice and stuff, but she wanted just to kind of scope things out and scope out the competition.
Yeah.
I do that in my softball league. If we have a championship game, we play the winner of a game. I get, for sure, I get there an hour early and watch everything and look for the holes and the gaps and all that. Kind of stuff.
Try to find that edge.
So, I'm sorry, Kevin.
No, you're good. I was done. You're good.
So, K-Lib, we talked a little bit about this again when we had our conversation on Saturday. But if you can delve a little deeper, you are obviously a very good performer. You have so much talent. What is your process? Do you say, okay, 3 times a week, I am going to sit and write, or I am just going to wait till I'm inspired? I got a little book next to me or a tape recorder. So what is that process for you? Mm-hmm. And to kind of next level that as well, do you just do a little bit at a time? Does the music come first? The lyrics come first? Kind of unwrap that for us if you can.
Definitely. My music is inspired oftentimes of what either I've gone through or what I am currently going through in life. So just the different challenges and the different trials that we may face in life, I find inspiration to write through the lens of what my personal experience may be. So that second song, for example, was a song that was basically combating fear, right? So the song was about having faith over fear and standing on the word of God. And that's something that I've had to do in my lifetime. I've had various health challenges that I've been going through, that I've faced in my lifetime, that I've actually had to stand on that word of God. And he gave me the inspiration to write through a lot of those times. Outside of that, I do make it a point to I have a goal that I set usually. I like to do, at least 1 to 2 songs every 2 weeks. And that's just like a personal goal. Like, so they usually start out, verse may come to mind, or maybe a hook may come to mind first, and I'll write that out. And then I'll kind of fill in the song itself as I go along, as I sit down and continue to pray and write through and just go through my thought process. I find that I'm learning a lot more about myself and my thought process when it comes to actually writing and completing lyrics in the song. So you'd be surprised what you find out about yourself. And then at that point, it's kind of like it's you versus you. You know what I mean? It's like, how can I make this song better? How can I make these lyrics better? How can I make this verse the best that it can be? And once you get to that point, it becomes a personal challenge, and it's like you versus you. And then you're just trying to do the best, put the best product and put the best version of you in that song out that you possibly can.
Thank you for sharing that. If I may follow that up real quick, you probably heard the term in one way or another. How do you make sure that you don't pursue greatness and get rid of something that's really good and never get to the greatness? Or have you ever written a song or part of a song almost done, have to put it down for a while and then have to come back later? If you can tell us about that.
Definitely. That happens often, actually, where it's kind of like, you may not notice, but when you're I work with a lot of producers. So when I work with producers, oftentimes they'll create a beat or they'll create something, and they'll have to listen to it for a while and then step back away from it. Right. And oftentimes when you step back away from it, maybe there's a different perspective, or maybe there's a different way that you can articulate what you're trying to say. That maybe if you wouldn't necessarily get if you're continuing to just kind of hash it out all at once. So oftentimes I'll write a little bit, or maybe write a verse or two, and then I'll have to step back away from the song and then come back to it. And then when I come back to it, usually he gives me something that just fulfills the song and completes the song in the way that maybe didn't quite before, prior to stepping back from it. So I do that often. I'll start a song and I'll come back to a song to complete it and finish it later. And it usually works out great. So it's been working for me.
It's always good to walk away for a little bit and come back to it, and then you get all that. Just a quick pause for just a second, just to show you guys what we have coming up here. The 28th, we are going to have our year-end awards, going to talk about the best stuff of the year, give our little awards there. NFL talk on New Year's Day. And then special guest Lauren Law Harper, who is another one of the EGT finalists, as well, is going to be there. Some NHL talk. Got to break down Madison Square Garden on the 11th, and then we're going to get into some baseball chat with the position of shortstops and kind of go over the best of that. So looking forward to some great episodes coming up next year. Definitely starting the planning with that. And then we're also just under 12 subscribers away now from 3,600. So if you're watching this and you have not hit that button, kindly please do so. Share with your mailman, your science teacher, whoever you can. Just make them, or ask them, not make them, but make them subscribe. We are so close. Got to get there. So thank each and every one of you for all that you do in terms of that. So what I wanted to kind of chat about next here, we've got about 10, 15 minutes left. But I wanted to ask you for me, so you're up there, the final three, right? And so that's one of the hard parts, because you're coming away with $1,000. This is actually, that was the prize amount that Daily won last year as the first place winner. And so it's always hard. I always feel so bad, because when you have three, so as you know, Ishmael placed third. So she gets announced third place. So, but you can't go. And second place is, because you so that's always tough, but then you got your moment right after and stuff. And even Oliver said, like, he was so grateful to win and all that kind of stuff, but it really didn't become a competition to him. Like it was when he got to the top three, because you're like, I got to give my best. Yeah. But he was just grateful to be there and have that experience and stuff like that. But that moment, like to me, like it feels like an eternity. I would imagine, like when
Yeah.
because on TV they make it 10 times worse. They drag it out like
Yeah.
Oh, there's
in
commercials.
they
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
every person in the crowd and their mother. It's like, okay, come on, it's been 49 seconds. Like, let's tell me who the person is. So hopefully it didn't feel like too long. But share a little about that moment when you're up there with the three, regardless of, finishing first, second, third, just what was that portion like? You're like looking over and realizing like, okay, any of these prize amounts would be great. I'm guaranteed something, but what did that feel like compared to the first round?
Man, that was an amazing feeling. It was surreal. Like the best way to describe it is that it was a surreal moment. You're looking out into the crowd. You see the crowd is anxious to see who's finishing in the top three. I mean, there's thousands of people there. You're going through all these thoughts in your mind, and you're like, well, I mean, I'm at least in the top three. Now where do I go from here? So that moment is like surreal. I kind of got to kind of feel like what our different artists and that they go through in those award shows, because it's like you're in the competition, but it's like you really don't know, and it's like you're so grateful to share the stage with so many talented people and so many great music songs and different acts and things of that nature that it's kind of surreal. Like you're kind of just standing up there like, wow, I wonder where am I going to place in this thing? So it was very surreal, but I was very grateful to be up there. Like to come from submitting a video to getting through the first round, to being judged in the top three, especially when you're talking about, Z88 is my favorite radio station. Like me and my family, we listen to that every day. So those judges over there are personalities that we hear on a day-to-day basis. So
yeah,
I mean, you have all that rushing through your mind as well. So it's like, man, I wonder what, how far can I really take this thing? So it really was a surreal moment. And once you heard your name called in the top three, it's like, okay, wow. Like you kind of got to kind of quickly move from, wow, this is happening to, okay, now let's turn it up a notch. So yeah, that's kind of the thought process that kind of happened. It was very quick too. So it was like 1 minute you're standing up there, the next minute Tim's looking at me like, all right, K-Lib, you're gonna go on your second act. So it's like, okay,
the reality is like, oh wait, they have to perform.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that we were able to have it in a perfect world. Like you guys would have been on a little later in the day, but like we had such a short, you only had 5 hours and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that you guys had a couple hours to kind of see everything, do everything.
Oh yeah.
Kind of put yourselves at ease.
Settle down a little bit. Yeah. It was nice.
Exactly.
It was nice.
And we had I don't have the exact numbers, but my guess would be somewhere just over 15,000 people is probably about where we fell. Now we had the Palm Bay Parade just 2 weeks before. Daly, who won last year, was on the float with Eddie Frost, and it was just really cool to see, just to see her career. Daly herself, she got that opportunity last year, and then just in 2025 alone was in 3 leads in Broadway plays either the Cocoa Surfside or in Titusville at their big theater. So she got these great opportunities, and she's got a baby now coming on the way. She's almost there with that. So super cool. And so I'm sure you're going to be hearing a lot from us over the next year. Definitely probably stay in touch, because we'd love to have you as part of that parade experience, because that, I'll tell you, that's another level. Like the amount of when ZDA they come to the parade too. That's what I admire about them so much. It's not even just the day of. They make 2 trips, and they could be by themselves, but they say no, we'll walk with the Extravaganza and the parade, and that's so awesome that have that support and all that stuff. And so that event's massive, and every year the amount of people that still don't know about this event, like I would say 7 out of every 10 people I hand a flyer to, they're like, oh, I didn't even know this exists, so it's incredible. I think Palm Bay now was sharing with Rob the other night, it's the 13th largest city in Florida. It's crazy that it's growing so quickly.
Crazy. It's growing fast, man. Palm Bay is a great area.
Yeah, the fact that you don't pay to park, You don't pay for anything. You're fed.
Yeah.
The child leaves with a toy. Wonderful memories. Beautiful, like we said, Ferris wheel, horseback riding, rock climbing,
Raffle tickets. Man.
raffle tickets.
People was winning all kind of
Bikes were
prizes.
handed out.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And the raffle tickets don't cost anything.
Yeah.
You know, and dunk tank people, just saying. What a wonderful experience. I mean, and again, I got to say, Mike, you know, the machine that is the system of your volunteers and the dedicated people. I mean, if something fell on the floor, somebody was there to pick it up.
Yeah.
And the safety and people, I mean, K-Lib, you're a parent. You felt like your children was safe.
Oh, yeah. I actually ate lunch with the security personnel, and we were getting to know, you know, he was getting to know my kids, and like, man, those volunteers did an excellent job. They were wonderful. They from the time you hit the park, whatever it is that you needed, if you needed water, if you needed tea, whatever you needed, they got it for you. So there was a great shout out to them. They were a great group of people. They were working hard all day long, making sure everybody in the park was enjoying themselves and have what they're needed. It was amazing staff. Amazing staff.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I know we're going to end soon, but I got a Christmas question for the both of you. K-Lib, you're a guest. You want to go first, or do you want to pass it off and give it to Mike? All right, you're going to go first?
Sure.
All right. Christmas Eve, do you open the gift on Christmas Eve, or do you wait for everything on Christmas Day?
We tend to wait on Christmas Day. Like
me too.
We want that build up. You know what I mean? That build up, the climax to the day. That's what we're looking for. So we wait till the actual day of. We don't open them the night before.
Same here, Mike.
The only thing I'm opening on Christmas Eve is the tails of the cocktail shrimp that I'm having at the house that night. That's about it. I can wait. But if I did have to open something, I would find the smallest one. Like I don't want to be opening like the big gift the night before and then have socks and underwear the next day. You know, I want to make sure I save the good stuff. True story.
Very true.
You get a kick out of this one. Back when, so many years ago, when my son we were having Christmas and everything, and he was like, "Oh, Santa," and all this stuff. Right? He's getting to that age. And so we had gotten some gifts and things like that. But a friend of ours had blessed us with a PlayStation 4 or 3. I think it was a 3 at the time, which is a big deal. Yeah. And way out of our league. Like, okay, whatever. And so he was kind of at the borderline. I don't know, you know, whatever. So we opened up all the gifts. Everything was done. And then we're like, oh, but wait, there's more. Kind of like the extravaganza. There's always more. Yeah. And turns out, so we had the PlayStation with 3 games. He opens it up and goes, Santa must be real because you guys would have never been able to get me this.
Wow.
It's like, ouch. But then it was still one of the funniest things I've ever heard. You know, I was just like, okay, I'll ouch, that stings, but super cool that he's got it, you know.
Right.
So that was, but traditions, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, there's no right or wrong answer, but for me, I'd rather wait. What about you, Darren?
Oh, I gotta wait till Christmas. I mean, I remember one year we opened some on Christmas Eve, and I was so no, it's got Christmas, gotta wait, get up,
yeah, man,
get the coffee or the cocoa, you sit down, you open up the gifts. That's what it's all about. And again, if the person wants to open up Christmas Eve, that's lovely too. But I'd rather Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And then my final question, again, has nothing to do with this event and stuff. And we'll end. I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to know where to follow you and where they can find you and what we're believing for you for the next step of your career. But my last question, because we are a sports podcast here, what is your jam? Like, we're baseball guys through and through. We do like a little bit of hockey. We do like a little bit of football. We're both diehard New York Met fans. So that's the gray hairs. But what is K-Lib, what is your preference sport-wise? Are you a baseball guy, football guy, basketball, etc., sort of thing?
I would say I'm a football guy first. I played a little bit of all of them. My first sport was actually baseball. So I always grew up an Atlanta Braves fan.
There you go.
Back in those Tom Glavine and Red Maddox days, you know, I loved to follow and watch them. Got into football as I got through, you know, grade school. And I've been a football guy. Like I love to watch football, college football.
Who's your college team?
Florida State is my team. We're a little on the down year this year, but
no, that's all right.
Didn't start off that way.
Yeah,
the first two wins were
yeah,
impressive.
man. Once we beat Alabama, I thought we were in for a great year, but
yeah,
we're looking to kind of rebound and get back to the standard this coming year. But and then for professional, I like to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's my favorite team. So I am a Bucs fan.
What's going on there?
I don't know, man. We're holding on for dear life, trying to, we started out leading the division, and I'm not quite sure what's going on the last 3 or 4 games. So we just haven't played like ourselves. So if we don't make it to the playoffs, we don't have anyone else to blame, but in house. So
yeah,
it's
sure weird.
My Bucks, but hopefully we can steer the ship right and sneak in and cause a little ruckus, hopefully. So we'll see.
What's weird because my football team is actually the Panthers. So I
wow,
some doozies of teams.
Yeah.
But, and people ask me, why a Panther? You live in Florida. The first year they were a team, I didn't have a team. I was like, you know what? I'll start with, I like the colors and I like some of their players and go with them. So I was stuck with it through bad times. And so we went out Sunday. I haven't been to a sports place in a while to watch a game on a Sunday. And we went, a few of the team members and Darren was there, and we're watching the Bucks and Panthers. And, of course, Panthers win and everything, but they still are showing that the Bucks have a higher percentage to make the playoffs, partially because the Panthers have to play Seattle and then go to Tampa, whereas Tampa plays the Dolphins, who has the third string quarterback in there. So anything could happen. I'm hoping it's the Panthers, but hopefully it comes down to week 7 or week 18. I think that's
that would be great.
How cool would that be?
That would be great.
Yeah.
So, K-Lib, before you go, we're talking sports. You mentioned the Braves. And as a lifelong Met fan, I know how great, and I'm probably older than both you guys by a lot, but Dale Murphy was just a great player with the Braves. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame?
That's a great question. I'm not sure why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Like, I mean, with that kind of career, you would think that he would be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. Honestly, I don't know what some people are looking at, but
I lived in Fresno, California, for 16 years, and I covered Fresno State. Terry Pendleton, a wonderful, member of Atlanta Braves. He was a member of the Fresno State team.
Yeah.
So, so I always had good feelings for that too.
Yeah.
Chipper Jones just owned it.
They've got some great players.
Just owned the Mets.
Yeah. Because when I moved from Brooklyn down to Florida, the only station we got besides the Cubs was TBS for the Braves. And I'm like, I'm watching this. I'm like, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Avery. I'm like, it's not fair.
I mean, they had everybody. Like, that roster was a loaded roster. And that's kind of how I kind of got familiar with them. I would always see that team on TBS. It was them and the Chicago Cubs.
But
I just gravitated to the Braves. So.
And I'm going to be honest, I think the reason why I wound up for my college team choosing UCF was because I wanted to be a FSU fan. But I think engraved in my soul, all the years that the Braves beat up on the Mets and I had to see the Tomahawk chant, that I couldn't support the Seminoles because of me doing the same thing. I was like, I'm bullied for too long.
You hear that going through that stadium rocking, man? There's nothing else like it. Hearing that, man, it isn't. So.
See, and as a Met fan, you hate. There are teams that you hate. Like the Phillies, you just hate them. The Braves were different because they just beat you.
Yeah,
and you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference. They just beat you. They were just better. You're like,
oh yeah, they were awesome.
That's why
teams were awesome.
Met fans, for example, the easy one to use is Chipper Jones, or Andrew Jones. Like you just. You know what I mean? You just got to tip the hat.
Take your hat off to them.
They're just good.
Yeah.
And they would just pass to the next guy, and Freddie Freeman would kill us. After another. Yeah. For sure. So, but and you mentioned, we're talking sports, mentioned the security team. Devin, who oversees the team. I've been a diehard WWE guy since birth. I thought I'd be over it by now, but I'm still diehard. And we do a big Royal Rumble get together every year. That's probably baseball and WWE kind of my jams when it comes to the sports world. But so K-Lib, where I know it feels like, can't believe it's already been almost an hour, but where can anyone that's watching this? So one thing, we get a lot of people that either watch and don't comment or watch the next morning, almost triple the viewership and stuff. So those that are watching or that are watching tomorrow, where can they find you on social media and things like that so they can continue to support you?
You can find me on Facebook as well as Instagram at K-Lib Music. Instagram is at K-Lib Music. That's KLIBMUZIK. K-Lib Music, at K-Lib Music. So you can find me there. Have a lot of new stuff that I'm going to be releasing in the new year. So be on the lookout for that on all platforms. So yeah, get ready. It's coming.
Love that. Looking forward to it. And what is my final question of the night then, as far as your 2026, besides answering a phone call when we call you to help in some capacity, because we're probably going to call you, because we say family is our heartbeat, and it just felt like it was one big giant family with all those finalists and everything like that. But what can we expect for you? Because we like to say things in the Christian world, like we speak things as if they already have happened. And just like when someone asks me for prayer and they come out for prayer, I'll pray for you. But what scripture are you standing on? What scripture? What scripture are we going to stand on together to pray for you? So what are we believing for K-Lib in 2026 that we can come to a prayer together on that for you?
Well, I believe that all things are possible with God. So with man, things may be impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So I'm looking for God to break the doors open and use K-Lib as an instrument in his mighty kingdom, just to bring joy, inspiration, and encouragement to the world. So I am standing on that. Proverbs 3:5 says to trust in the Lord and lean not to your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So I'm looking for God to do that in my life. So that's one thing that you can be praying with K-Lib about, is that the will of God be completed in his life for the glory of God. So
amen. Awesome. We'll definitely do that. Darren, any final thoughts before we shut this down?
I want you to have a wonderful Merry Christmas, K-Lib and Mike, and for all of our people who follow us and don't follow us. To the strangers out there, know you're not alone. God loves you. God's with you. Much like the Extravaganza, this podcast is free. Join us anytime. We're here, and we're here to inform you, have some laughs with you, and to share this privilege that life brings us.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, K-Lib. Enjoy the rest of your night, holidays, and everything. And then, after the first of the year, just answer that phone. We're not spam. It's just me.
Will do.
But thank you all so very much for making part of your night. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, we will see you around the ballpark. Bye, guys.